The old woman opened the door, and her legs gave out. She grabbed the doorframe with both hands. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. She stared at the young American standing on her porch, as if she were looking at a ghost. He reached out to steady her. She took his wrist, not to balance herself, but to hold him. "The way you hold something you have been begging God to return," he said. "Ma'am, I'm here from the university. I'm doing research on—" She shook her head, slowly. "I don't need to see your ID, Anak. I have been looking at your face in my prayers for 22 years. She touched his cheek with trembling fingers. "Welcome home." He had never been to this village before. He had never been to the Philippines before. And this woman was looking at him like he was something she had lost and never stopped searching for. If you believe blood always finds its way home, drop Pinoy in the comments, because what this young man was about to discover inside that small house would unravel every truth his family had ever told him. He was 22 years old, a pre-med student at a university in California, smart, quiet. Raised in a surgeon's mansion with polished floors and a stepmother who loved him the only way she knew how carefully, like someone handling a thing that belonged to someone else. His professor had assigned fieldwork interview elderly Filipinos in rural communities about traditional family healthcare. His father, the surgeon, had chosen the location himself. A small fishing village in Batangas. He thinks he chose this village for a grade. He was about to find out his father chose it for his soul. The Lola's house was small, wooden walls, a tin roof that sang when the wind moved, sampaguita growing wild beside the front steps. Inside, everything was clean and simple. A wooden table, 4 chairs, faded photographs on the wall, a small altar with a candle and a rosary. And at the end of a narrow hallway, one door with a padlock on it. He noticed it on the first evening. She saw him looking. "That room is private, Anak," she said gently. "Not yet." Not yet. As if she already knew there would be a time. He did not know it yet, but the answers to questions he had not even thought to ask were sitting behind that padlocked door, 10 feet from where he slept. The first days were simple. He conducted his interviews. He recorded her voice. She told him about Highlight healers, about herbal remedies passed from mother to daughter, about how Batangueños believed that illness lived not in the body, but in the spaces between people who had stopped speaking to each other. She fed him every meal, and every meal unsettled him. The fish was always deboned the way he liked it, the way he had liked it since childhood, a preference he had never mentioned. The rice was plain, no garlic. He had a sensitivity to garlic that made him sick. He had told no one in this village. On the 3rd afternoon, she placed a cup of kapeng barako in front of him, the one coffee he drank at home, the one his stepmother always said was strange for an American boy to love. He looked at the cup for a long time. On the 4th evening, he was washing his hands before dinner. Without thinking, he poured water over his hands 3 times, slowly, deliberately, the way someone had taught him as a child. He did not remember who. The Lola was watching from the kitchen doorway. Her eyes filled with tears. "She used to do that," the Lola whispered. "Exactly that way, 3 times. She said once for the body, once for the spirit, once for the people you love." He froze. "Who?" She turned back to the stove. "Eat first, Anak. Questions later." That night he lay on his sleeping mat and stared at the ceiling. The Lola was humming through the wall, a slow melody, Tagalog. He had never heard it before. So why did something inside his chest ache like it was trying to remember? On the 5th night, the Lola had an episode. He heard the sound from his room, a sharp gasp, then silence. He ran to her. She was on the kitchen floor, one hand pressed to her chest, her breathing shallow and fast. Her face was gray. He knelt beside her. His training took over. He checked her pulse. Elevated. Irregular. He needed her medication. "Where are your pills?" She pointed weakly down the hallway. "Toward the locked door." He did not hesitate. In the panic of searching for her heart medication, he pushed open the one door he was never supposed to touch, and the world he knew vanished. The room was a shrine. Not to a saint, to a woman. Dozens of photographs covered every wall. A young Filipino woman with black hair and a wide, bright smile. In a nurse's uniform. Standing in front of a California hospital. Laughing on a beach. Holding flowers. Sitting at a piano. He scanned the photographs, and his hands began to tremble. Because the woman in every picture had his eyes, his exact eyes, the same shape, the same depth, the same way the left one crinkled slightly more than the right when she smiled. She had his jawline, his forehead, his mouth. He was looking at photographs of a stranger who looked exactly like him. Dried sampaguita flowers were scattered on a small table beneath the photographs. Candles, a rosary, letters, stacks of them addressed to a hospital in California. And one photograph, larger than the rest, framed in dark wood. A young woman in a hospital bed, exhausted and radiant, holding a newborn baby. He turned the frame over. On the back, in faded ink, was a date. His birthday. His exact birthday. He found her medication in a small box beside the shrine. He brought it to her. He placed the pill under her tongue. He held her hand while her breathing steadied. And then he asked the question that had been building inside him since the moment she opened the door. Lola, who is the woman in that room? Her pulse was still recovering. Her voice was thin, but her eyes, her cloudy, tired eyes, looked at him with a clarity that cut through everything. She was my daughter, Anak. A pause. She was your mother. The room tilted. She told him slowly. Her daughter had been a nurse. Brilliant. Brave. She had moved to California at 24. She had fallen in love with an American surgeon. They married. She became pregnant. She used to call me every Sunday. The Lola said. Even from the delivery room, she called me. I heard your first cry through the phone. I named you. Did you know that? She let me name you. His mother died of cancer. He was 11 months old. His father, the surgeon, the man who could fix any body on an operating table, could not fix his own grief. He remarried within 2 years. He asked the Lola never to contact them. He removed every photograph, every letter, every trace of her daughter from the boy's life. I honored his wish, she said quietly. For 22 years, I wrote to you every birthday. He never replied, but I kept writing, because the writing was not only for you, it was for her. The grandson sat on the floor of that small kitchen and pressed his palms against his eyes. 22 years of a missing face, 22 years of a hollow feeling he could never name. A mother-shaped absence that he had carried his whole life without knowing what it was. And she had been here the whole time, in this house, on these walls, in this woman's prayers. He called his father that night. His father answered on the first ring, as if he had been waiting beside the phone since the day he sent his son to Batangas. The grandson's voice was steady, barely. You sent me here on purpose. Silence. You knew she was my grandmother. You knew this whole time. His father's breathing changed. The composure of a surgeon, the steadiest hands in any operating room, cracked in one exhale. I couldn't tell you myself, his father said. Every time I looked at your face, I saw her, every single morning, and I couldn't survive that, so I hid her. I hid all of her, and I hid the best part of you along with it. A long pause. I sent you there because she deserved to be the one to tell you, not me. I lost that right the day I asked her to disappear. The grandson hung up the phone, not in anger, in something larger than anger, something that had no name yet. He went back inside and sat beside the Lola. Tell me everything. And she did. For 3 weeks, he did not leave. He canceled his flight. He called his university and withdrew from the semester. His stepmother called twice. He did not answer, not because he hated her, because he was not ready to hear the voice of the woman who had filled a space that was never empty. Every morning, the Lola told him a story about his mother. Her voice when she sang, the way she ate mangoes standing up, juice running down her wrists, laughing at the mess. Her habit of praying with her eyes open because she said God already knew she was looking. He learned that his mother had planted the sampaguita outside the front door the year she left for America. She told her mother they would bloom every May. And when they bloom, she had said, you will know I am thinking of you. They still bloomed, every May, 23 years later. The Lola gave him his mother's rosary. She gave him the nursing badge his mother had worn on her first day at the California hospital. And she gave him 22 letters, one for every birthday, tied together with a piece of ribbon from his mother's wedding dress. Each letter began with the same line. My grandson, your mother is watching. He read them all, one each night, in order. Some made him laugh. The last one broke him open in a way that would never fully close again. On the day he left, the Lola walked him to the road. The whole village had come. She held his face in both hands the way she had held his mother's face the day her daughter left for America and never came back. You look just like her, she said. He could not speak. He held the letters against his chest. She smiled through her tears. Go home, Anak, and this time take her with you. He flew back to California, but he did not go to his father's mansion. He drove to a cemetery he had never visited. He had never been told it existed. He found the grave on a quiet hill under an oak tree, a simple stone, his mother's name, 2 dates, and between them, an entire life he had never been allowed to know. He knelt on the grass and placed the rosary on the stone. He pinned the nursing badge beside it. And he read the 22nd letter out loud, the one the Lola had written this year, in the voice his mother never got to hear grow up. When he finished, He sat there for a long time. The sampaguita, the Lola had pressed into his hand that morning, was wilting in the California sun, but it still smelled like Batangas. It still smelled like the garden his mother planted the year she left home. He placed it on the stone beside the rosary and the badge. 3 things on a grave: a rosary that crossed an ocean twice, a badge from the first day of a life that ended too soon, and a letter that began the way all 22 began. My grandson, your mother is watching, because the dead do not leave us. They wait in the faces of the people who loved them in a Lola's kitchen, in a locked room full of photographs, in a garden that still blooms every May, until the living are finally brave enough to look. For every Filipino mother who left home and never came back. For every Lola who kept the candle burning. For every child who grew up with a shape missing from their life that they could never name. Nandito lang kami. We are still here.